It's the second day of the 3-day annual PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit. First day saw attendance from different persons in the oil and gas sectors, conversations from different key players in and around the sector, from the NNPC to the Upstream and the Downstream sector to the Ministry of Oil and Gas and State, both state and national level. And today promises to be a continuation of that. Welcome to TUC Half Hour, sponsored by the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. On this week's episode of the program, we'll be highlighting Day 2 of the PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit. But before I bring you all of that, here is this week's trivia question. What is the theme of this year's PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit? You'll of course find out the answer to that before I wrap up the program. I am Faiz Osuyi. TUC Half Hour. We'll be right back after this break.
Yet what falls on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity,
The second day of the PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit 2024 continued with in-depth discussions on critical issues, including crude oil theft, policy execution, and the divestment of international oil companies (IOCs).
Great PENGASSAN! Great Nigeria! Injury to one!
PENGASSAN President Comrade Festus Osifo took the stage to address the challenges posed by crude oil theft and the need for effective policy execution. He emphasized the importance of reviewing and updating Nigerian gas master plan, noting the significant progress that has been made and the need for further recommendations to drive the plan forward.
Part of the questions that we have asked as PENGASSAN is that these issues bordering on crude oil theft, we have had several vessels that have been burnt down. We have had tankers. They have burned these tankers down. The question is that, have we ever heard that people are sentenced to jail? Have you ever heard that there are people that stole our crude and they are facing 20, 30, 40 years in jail? The answer is a no. So we must do everything possible to create deterrence. We must do everything possible to sanction bad behavior. Because if you don't sanction bad behavior, you are telling the good guys that it is normal, that it is good to do what is wrong. So we are hereby calling on government to strengthen the sanction policies and to strengthen our laws to ensure that people that stole our crude, they will face their time behind the bars. Most of you comrades here, we work in offshore locations. You will go to a JV location, you are going to see like 3, 4, 5, 6 security vessels guiding one installation. That security vessels will be fueled. That security vessels will be manned by naval officers. That security vessels, you are going to be paying daily rate for it. When you compute it into that cost of production, it is quite high. So part of the challenges that we have also posed there, why will government abdicate responsibility and allow the investors to provide their own security in our waterways? What is the function of Navy? If government takes that responsibility away from the investors, if government takes that responsibilities away from the oil and gas producing companies, what is going to happen? That particular cost is going to disappear. And when that cost disappears, the cost of production will go down significantly. If you know operations in One, when you go to One and you see a particular vessel, a supply vessel going offshore, you are going to have 2, 3, 4 security vessels going with one supply vessel that is sailing offshore. That is the cost is quite huge. So we are calling on government that they should take away that cost from the IOCs by deploying a lot of security vessels to police our oil and gas investment. Because today, as it's been said, it was echoed yesterday, that crude is now found literally everywhere in the world. Unlike before, where we were the toast, where we were in Africa, you could count Nigeria, you could count Libya, you could count Angola, Congo, Gabon, and one or two other countries. But today, crude is found literally everywhere in Africa. You go to Ghana, you go to Senegal, you go to Cote d'Ivoire, you go to, you have crude everywhere. In fact, in Mozambique, the gas deposit in Mozambique is amazing. And they found that field, say, about 6-7 years ago. So, government must be able to partner with the industry players to ensure that the cost of production comes down. Because investors, all they are looking at is how much they are going to make at the end of the day. What is their return on investment? What is their bottom line? So we call on government to help do this in the industry, and it will help much more.
The General Manager, Planning, Research and Statistics of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, Silas Omomei Ajimijaye, making a presentation on behalf of the Executive Secretary of the NCDMB, presented a paper focusing on the development of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan. He highlighted the importance of transforming Nigerian gas sector into a key driver of economic growth through the development of upstream, midstream and downstream infrastructure.
It's good we note that we have vast reserve of gas as shown, and only 20%, about 20% of the total gas reserve have been developed, leaving ample room for further exploration and exploitation. And we have diverse deposits, both onshore and offshore. So that presents a unique advantage in our country. We can get to that stage whereby we will take our future into our own hands and develop that aspect of the industry. Of course, the downstream utilization of the resources of oil exploitation and gas exploitation present a lot of opportunities in petrochemicals and fertilizer production, thanks to Dangote for what he has, but there's a lot of room for further development in that ecosystem. Of course, the midstream infrastructure has already mentioned, the pipelines, the storage facilities, the gas processing facilities. There is a lot of opportunity for investment and operation in that regard. And LNG export. Those are the opportunities that the Gas Master Plan has presented to Nigeria and for investors to key in all over the world. The decade of gas promoted by the Ministry of Petroleum Resources is one aspect of this master plan that the NCDMB has taken to heart to develop. As I said earlier, we are focused on the development of our gas ecosystem in Nigeria. You will see the investment and the partnership that the NCDMB has gone into to ensure that the mandate of Mr. President is actualized. What are the implications on the Nigerian hydrocarbon landscape? This is opportunity for local players. Just as a mother will nurture the child in spite of discouragement from other people around and ensure the success of that child, PENGASSAN, in collaboration with all other industry players, we are the one operating the industry as PENGASSAN, and we have to collaborate with the government and all tiers of government to ensure success, to be the master of our fate.
He also discussed the potential for LNG exports and the positive impact of local content in the hydrocarbon landscape.
The positive impact of local content induced asset transfer. You now see all these players, ITO, Seplat, Aeroton, Oando, First EMP, and so many others have taken advantage of this asset transfer to do exploit in our industry. And I charge you all to support them. For instance, 26% of crude oil and even 77% of gas, which conform to the challenges arising from the energy mix, is being produced by our national operators now, which shows that we are in a good place if we can just continue to work on this and develop our industry by ourselves. In conclusion, the Gas Master Plan aims to transform Nigeria's natural gas resources into a major driver of economic growth and development. Investment opportunities arising from the divestment of IOCs offers a range of opportunities for Nigerian operators across the oil and gas value chain. Infrastructure development, including pipelines, processing plants, and storage facilities, as I mentioned earlier, is crucial for the success of this plan. And enabling policies on the part of regulators to attract the needed investment and ensure sustainable development of the gas sector is very, very crucial.
Speaking separately on Nigerian Gas Master Plan, implementation, successes and challenges, as well as divestment of IOCs from Nigeria's oil and gas upstream, Mr. Olalekan Ogunleye, the Executive Vice President, Gas, Power and New Energy at the NNPC Limited, provided insights into the implementation of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan and the context for gas market development in Nigeria. He discussed NNPC's roles in connecting Nigeria to other parts of Africa through regional integration and addressed the challenges facing the energy and power sector.
It's absolutely...
Ogunleye also spoke about the limitations and gaps in the sector and the NNPC's efforts to mitigate these challenges.
In the last 10 years, there has been a ratcheting up of focus on clean energy. And, people talk about hydrogen, fusion, all sort of things. But for us, and we keep saying it, that gas is our number one product when we talk about clean energy. And so it's important that we're not just following international conventional wisdom just for the fun of it. In our country today, our reality is we must use gas as displacement product for firewood, for sawdust. Those of us that are from the village, we know what is going on. And we know the environmental consequences of our women cooking with firewood, inhaling fumes, and the associated damage to the health. So for us, gas fills that requirement. It's also flexible. You can liquefy it, you can pipe it, you can compress it, you can, you can transport it in different manner. And it's versatile. It's gas to power, it's gas to industries, etc. And so forth and so on. If we look into the context, for Nigeria, just bringing it to our specific situation, gas is an economic product that is absolutely central to our quest for addressing energy poverty. Depending on what statistics you have, in Africa, at least the number is that about 600 million people do not have access to electricity. The gentleman in his earlier comment said when, according to the Christian worldview, that when the world was being created, the first word was, "Let there be light." And it's the same in society. There is statistics to show that access to electricity directly correlates to the living standard of the people. And so it's important to us in Nigeria for this purpose. There is also in Nigeria a positive development because for the last several years, so the governments have been consistent in their focus for gas, in their support for gas. And beyond that, we've also found that all across the energy sector, there's broad-based consensus that gas is that product that has the capacity to help with economic growth and to improve the quality of life for our people.
Speaking on the complexity of the energy sector and how to chart the course towards a sustainable energy sector, economic prosperity, the framework to guide divestment processes and bring transparency to the petroleum industry, Engineer Farouk Ahmed, Authority Chief Executive at the NMDPRA, represented by Dr. Mustafa Lamod, said that to transform the gas sector into a key driver of economic growth, key strategies for gas infrastructure development are being deployed. These strategies are meant to create opportunities for the upstream and downstream development through investments and improved infrastructure.
The NMDPRA will continue to maintain optimal collaboration with PENGASSAN and all other labor unions towards the development of an oil and gas industry that creates prosperity for all. The future of Nigeria's oil and gas industry must continuously be mainstreamed in all strategic national discussions to ensure that we are collectively working to unlock the extensive developmental potentials of our proven-rich oil and gas reserve base. The theme of this year's Labour Summit, the future of Nigeria's oil and gas industry, energy mix, energy security, artificial intelligence, divestment and crude oil theft, rightly reflects key result areas that must be achieved for this sector on an immediate long-term basis. Nigeria's energy security must be guaranteed through the accelerated development of an integrated energy mix that is efficiently supported by innovation and technology, sustainable investment, and optimal infrastructure security assurance across the entire value chain. I will use the next few minutes to review the Nigerian Gas Master Plan and share my perspectives on divestment of IOCs from Nigeria's oil and gas upstream as specified in the invitation. The Nigerian Gas Master Plan, an overview of its performance and impact. The progressive drive and the national aspiration for optimization of Nigeria's extensive hydrocarbon resources of crude oil and natural gas led to the establishment and adoption of a national gas development blueprint known as the Nigerian Gas Master Plan in the early 2000s. The Gas Master Plan has an objective of seeking to accelerate the optimal integration of natural gas into the energy mix of Nigeria, which was predominantly driven by crude oil production and export and domestic refining for petroleum products for meeting our local energy needs. The implementation framework of the Gas Master Plan is structured to guide and facilitate the emplacement of key enablers and drivers required for the development of matured gas market that creates strategic competitive advantage for Nigeria in the regional and global energy space. So effective implementation of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan will create a Nigerian gas sector that ensure optimal supply of gas to the strategic and non-strategic domestic sectors, establishment of optimal gas supply infrastructure. The third and fourth section of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan define critical enablers and the drivers of attainment of full liquidity and regulatory structure and full liberalization of our gas markets, respectively. Upon actualization of this major milestone of this Gas Master Plan, the Nigerian gas market will attain optimal liquidity that is guaranteed by an extensive number of market players, effective connectivity / accessibility of gas by all, and regulation of the gas sector in its entirety. All efforts are being implemented through fiscal incentivization by the federal government of Nigeria, such as the presidential fiscal incentives on growth for gas of 2023, enhanced regulatory enablement such as the Nigerian Gas Network Code Ref 1 in 2024, the new license regime and the market-based pricing and tariffing framework in 2024, strategic programs on gas such as the 2021 to 2030 Decade of Gas and the Presidential Initiative for CNG. A sustained implementation of the objective of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan must be enabled, supported through this decade and beyond to deliver the much needed economic development of energy security, optimal socio-economic impact as job creation, revenue generation, and most importantly, a cleaner environment. I encourage every stakeholder in the Nigerian gas sector to continue to ensure that it is contributing its best towards the development of this sector. The perspective on divestment of IOCs from Nigerian oil and gas upstream. The Nigerian oil and gas industry has evolved through various milestone development over the years, extending from that phase where key players, investors in the entire value chain were predominantly international oil companies that operated mainly through joint venture partnership with the federal government, to the current phase where a growing participation of indigenous players are contributing to the development of this sector in Nigeria. The divestment of IOCs from assets in the upstream sector of the Nigerian oil and gas industry has been managed through approved regulatory instruments that ensure that the optimal performance of the upstream sector and the required energy security of Nigeria is not compromised through business and portfolio realignment of the divesting entities. Optimization of investment opportunities in the oil and gas sector must continue to be supported by all to ensure that Nigeria remains an attractive investment location. In conclusion, as I conclude, please permit me to observe that the National Gas Master Plan has proven to be one of Nigeria's most successful strategies that was developed and operationalized for the accelerated development of the gas sector. And I encourage this summit to review and make recommendations on how the entire objective of this blueprint can be fully actualized within this decade. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority shall continue to implement appropriate regulatory measures to grow investment in this industry.
Attendees, while speaking on the significance of the event's theme to the sector, highlighted it was key to hold such gathering so as to proffer solutions and submit them to the government.
We see that in this country, anything that touches fuel affects many other things, transportation, etc., etc. If in this country we stop the pretense of every time we turn around, we do turnaround maintenance on our refineries and build refinery in this country where we produce for domestic and we have surplus to export. If we build refinery, because anytime labor, once we raise head, they take one or two of us and put into committees. All the struggle dies there. They keep turning us around. It's the human being they are turning around instead of the refinery itself. If we get a functional refineries where we produce fuel and stop importation, then this so-called fuel subsidy will be taken care of.
I had the opportunity to advise the president, current or future president of Nigeria. I would advise him on how best we can curb or totally reduce the smuggling of our products to neighboring countries, because from experience we've come to see that these movement of our products affects what we have left in the country to use and the cost of the product. Thank you.
One major thing that will turn around this country, both now and in the future, is transparent electoral reforms. So if we strengthen people's ability to decide genuinely who should lead them, it would change everything, because people will be forced now or be willing to support that government because they have chosen that government, to support that government to make sure they succeed, both now and then in the future. Thank you.
The day concluded with a focus on how oil and workers can be best equipped with requisite knowledge and skills to stay relevant in these rapidly changing times in the industry. The speakers emphasized the importance of collaboration amongst oil and gas trading institutions and investment in research as key drivers to successful upskilling for the industry.
And that's it for day 2 of the PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit. I can quite say that today did focus or start the conversation on the importance of artificial intelligence to the sector, as well as the Gas Master Plan of 2030. Thank you so much for joining. Do not forget to follow TUC Half Hour across all social media platforms using the handles displayed on your screen. Before we wrap up, here is the answer to this week's trivia question. The theme of this year's PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit is the future of Nigeria's oil and gas industry. Thank you again. I'm Faiz Osui. See you next week. Bye-bye.